Hello, fight fans. Bellator returns tonight, finally. I love the UFC, but competition is good for everything, and MMA is no different. Tonight it will be on the Paramount Network and DAZN, so that's great. Those of you that don't have DAZN, that are on cable, it'll be over there on Paramount. And we have a great main event card. Actually, it's filled with UFC Veterans, an LFA World Champion, and a lot of rising prospects. All of these guys might not be household names, but everybody in these four fights has something interesting to bring to the card. And there's a lot of intrigue to these matchups. So hats off to the matchmaker, whoever you are, over there at Bellator. I'm going to start out with Jordan Mein versus Jason Jackson. I did some research on everybody on here, since I realized that you may not be familiar with every name you see on here. Jordan Mein, if you've been watching the UFC for a while, you probably are pretty familiar with him because he had a pretty extensive career in the UFC. At 30 years old, this guy's got some miles on his tires. 31-12 in 43 fights. He's jumping ship from the UFC after ending his career with back-to-back wins. A lot of times this is after guys have lost, but sometimes they are leaving after wins. I imagine that made him more valuable for sure. He's fought the best that the UFC had to offer. At his weight, he's got wins in his career over Mike Pyle, Dan Miller, Joe Riggs, back in the day when Joe Riggs was still Joe Riggs, and had a close split decision loss to long-reigning former champion Tyron Woodley in 2012. At 30 years old, I think he's still got plenty of tread left on the tires and plenty to offer Bellator. He does come in a slight underdog to former LFA champion Jason Jackson. After winning Bellator's welterweight championship, Jason Jackson jumped ship for brighter skies over in Bellator. Now, the UFC has been known to take all the talent from LFA. Most of the guys we've seen are well over 50% of the guys that we've seen get contracts on Dana White Contender Series came from the NFL. Or, excuse me, Dana White Contender Series. I guess I really want football to come back. But it's not as if 29-year-old Jason Jackson didn't try to get into the UFC. They had their chance. If that name sounds familiar, he was on season 21 of Tough. He went 1-1 on The Ultimate Fighter. Also fought in Dana White's Contender Series. Coming into Bellator, he was quickly thrown to the wolves. His first fight was against Ed Ruth. He lost a close split decision, to one of the best fighters in all of Bellator. His second fight, they didn't give anybody easy either. He went against veteran Kaiichi Kunamoto, who was 20-8 coming into the fight. Jason Jackson dominated that fight, winning by unanimous decision. This fight could go either way. What do you want? The guy that's been in there with a lot of UFC fighters, but he's also got a lot of miles on him. Age just a year apart. This one could really go either way. I think Jason Jackson has a lot of momentum behind him right now, though. And like I said, less miles on the tread. I'm going to go with the favorite tonight. But Jordan Mein could certainly pull off the upset tonight. And it would be a big blow to Bellator if there was an upset in this next fight. J.J. Wilson against Taiwan Claxton. But if you don't know who J.J. Wilson is, this guy's an incredible prospect, and he definitely has a shot at an upset tonight. At just 22 years old, Jason Wilson, or JJ Wilson, is 5-0 with 5 finishes. 4 of those by submission. He's 4-0 in Bellator, 1-0 in California Cage Warriors. Although none of the names on his resume will jump out at you, only one of his opponents has made it to the second round. He finished everybody else in the first. Tonight, he gets the call up that he's been asking for. He's got a lot of potential, but he has a huge mountain to climb tonight in Taiwan, Claxton. Claxton, this dude has the skills to pay the bills. His only loss came to Emmanuel Sanchez, who is an absolute stud. Bellator expects a lot out of this 27-year-old, and this 27-year-old expects a lot out of Bellator. This kind of hit me out of right field. He has spent all of quarantine rebuilding his Air Claxton brand, which includes a flying knee logo of him on his clothes. And he says he wants and expects to be not just one of the highest paid Bellator fighters, but one of the highest paid athletes of all time. I don't know, Taiwan Claxton. I don't know about that. We will see, my friend. You got a tough contender coming in against you tonight in JJ Wilson. I do expect the Division II champion Taiwan Claxton to be too much for the young Wilson tonight, though. I think Wilson's night will come at another time. I have Taiwan Claxton winning this one and winning this one big. The next one coming up, you see this huge odds discrepancy. Minus 715 on one of the most touted prospects that Bellator has ever had, Aaron Pico, taking on Chris Hatley Jr., who you can make 4.5 times your money back should you think that he is going to pull off the upset like Zach Freeman did in Aaron Pico's debut in just 24 seconds, or like the back-to-back losses Aaron Pico suffered by knockout after a 4-fight win streak. Aaron Pico has been up and down and up and down. They still believe this kid has a lot of potential, and he's still just 23 years old. Is he still the biggest prospect in all of Bellator? They might think so. I mean, maybe not in my opinion. He's a pretty big prospect, but he cannot afford any more missteps. That's why after his last loss, he switched over to Jackson Wink, and he went over there. He was very humble and said, "I'm going over there to learn MMA," quote. Never a boring moment in an Aaron Pico fight. The dude is 5-3 now, and every single one of his fights has ended by knockout, regardless of what side of that fight he was on. Training over Jackson Wink, I think, is going to do a lot of good for him. He's had one fight since then. He KO'd Daniel Carey in his last fight. He just needs to put it all together. He needs to put together a big streak to eventually become that contender that Bellator invested so heavily in. And if you don't know, now you know. Bellator was paying Aaron Pico a pretty substantial prospect wage before they even signed him while he was in college. One of the first contracts, I believe, of that kind. And then the last fight, the odds are cut off a little bit because I had to fit myself in here. But that's Ricky Bandejas at plus 125. Ricky Bandejas is best known for his first round upset knockout of James Gallagher in August 2018. Not only did he knock out James Gallagher and embarrass him in the first round, he did it in front of his home crowd, Gallagher's home crowd. So that was extra special for him. Although he's just 2-2 since then, his losses come to top fighters Juan Archuleta and very talented undefeated Patrick Mix, going the decision with Juan Archuleta. That is a lot to say right there for the young kid. Juan Archuleta is an absolute stud, and Bandejas has shown that he's got the power to take guys out, and he can handle the limelight. But he has not seen the kind of limelight that the fighter he is fighting tonight has seen, and nowhere near the caliber of experience. Sergio Pettis defeated Tyson Nam in his last UFC fight after coming off back-to-back losses to Rob Font and Jesse Formiga, respectfully. Even though he had that win, he still decided to jump ship, come over to Bellator to be one of their top stars. He's just 2 years removed from his biggest win, a split decision win over Joseph Benavidez, one of the best 125-pounders of all time. He hasn't been finished in over 5 years, despite facing stellar competition. In his Bellator debut, he choked out Alfred Kazakianen in just 3 minutes flat. Look at the odds, guys. Plus 160 on Pettis. He is not a big favorite tonight. I have respect for Ricky Bandejas and his one-hit wonder. But if I'm betting on this fight, I'm betting the house on Sergio Pettis. And to me, these odds are total whack. He should be a 3-1 odd, a 3-1 favorite minimum. So Sergio Pettis, I think, takes this one easily. Guys, I will start streaming tonight for the main card. It starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Like I said, you can watch along on DAZN or the Paramount Network. For those of you that want to watch the prelims, I won't be covering, but they will be on YouTube. So look for them on YouTube because starting at 4:45 p.m. Pacific, 8:45 Eastern, because the prelims will be free on YouTube. Until tonight, guys, as always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses tonight.